Welcome to this week's first impressions video, and opening screen pretty much should give you a good idea of how bad this game's going to be. If you don't feel confident enough in your game to have a decent splash screen and have it this dull, boring, and quite frankly awful, then it doesn't bode well for the game to come. This game this week is a little bit perplexing because I had a look on Steam and it said it actually came out last year in September, but on Keymailer they've registered the release date as January 2024. So even then, the game's been out for a couple of weeks now. Apparently, even though on Steam, when you look, it's been out for a good few months. Overall, the game it's got potential, but the problem with it is pacing. The pacing is awful, and the game knows the pacing's awful, as you will soon find out. As always, we'll look through the settings first and give you a good rundown of those, and then we will jump into the game and I will say what I like and what I dislike. And unfortunately, there's more that I dislike than I like with this one. So buckle in, kids, because this is going to be a doozy. Firstly, we're going to look at controls. That's all that you get for controls is mouse sensitivity and invert mouse control. You don't get to rebind any keys, you don't get to change anything meaningful, and as a result, the gameplay feels a little bit weird. The game has chosen to use sliders in order to, move things about, and there's this weird sort of acceleration, there's this weird delay when you move the bar that makes it very difficult to sort of figure out what you're doing. The game does start it on 1, and as always with these sorts of simulation games, that means that your mouse moves around at the rate of knots, and it's not very good, and it can make you feel a little bit cruisy. So I have turned it down to 0.55. That seems to be a little bit better and a little bit more responsive without making me want to throw up. Outside of that, we do have video controls, and I'm very happy to say that the video controls in this are very, very good. You have a resolution scale that starts at 100, you start in windowed full screen mode, and you have dynamic resolution, vertical sync, and frame rate limit. Interestingly enough, it doesn't grey out the frame limit when you put vertical sync on, so do bear that in mind. And then you have a ton of graphical settings, which is kind of impressive considering the game uses very low quality models where it's basically the same guy just dressed in different outfits. You'll see what I mean later on. Obviously, this doesn't require a huge amount, so everything is on max, but I do like the fact that they've got so many graphics options to allow you to customize this to work on any machine. Lastly is audio. Now, everything is up to pretty much max except for the music volume, which starts at 25. This is a really good mix, and I like the fact that it changes and detects what gaming headset you're using. These options are for a game that is much more high quality than the game itself, and that's a bit of a shame. Again, with the volume, it has this weird sort of delay with the volume slider, which could probably do with being increased and just made better. And also in the menu especially, it's like they're playing 2 tracks simultaneously and you get a misbeat, which is really awful. I genuinely thought I'd actually left some music on from a different game because I was really, really confused. Outside of that, though, the options are very, very good. I do think that they should add a key for rebinding and also a few extra options, which I'll go into when we get into the game itself. Alright, here we are. Whenever you start the game, it does sort of lead you out to look into the outside world, and it seems like they've built this really interesting sort of rundown but not rundown area. I don't know whether as you play the game you're able to buy different properties and start doing more than just Cashier, but who knows. I've only played about an hour of this because my mind wanted to smash through the keyboard. You start with a certain amount of money and you just get told to go to the shop when you begin. You can see the time in the top left corner as well as the amount of money you've got, and then in your apartment you've got a number of things that you can interact with, switch on, switch off, and sit down, etc. You can also sleep, which will fast forward you another day, and you can interact with the TV. Now, it is important to note that you can put any URL here, and it will work. Now, this is a really cool feature, which if you're playing on your own is really, really nice and allows you to do loads of cool stuff. Unfortunately, they haven't really thought it through because once you've started it, you can't do anything else with it. Once it's on this buffering wheel, until you insert another web link, you can't get back to that homepage before, and this is incredibly problematic when you're in the shop using the TV there. Like, it doesn't have all the controls that it needs, and again, if this game has been out since September, this should have been fixed by now. This isn't really acceptable. But once you've had enough time in your room, you can leave the house. I will say that the graphics of the house is quite interesting considering everything's really shiny. The next issue that I have with this game is moving around. There are invisible walls everywhere. Places that you should be able to walk around quite easily, you get stuck on for no apparent reason. And this means that getting anywhere is incredibly difficult and makes the world feel incredibly small. You do have the ability to, I'm assuming, own or at least get into a vehicle at some point, but for now they are just there for aesthetics, and not very good aesthetics at that. There is this little restaurant around here, and this is why I wonder if maybe later on you are able to buy the restaurant and maybe start branching out there, because it's kind of derelict and been run down. And it's sort of the theme throughout the entire area is that the buildings look just not very good. The sound effects are not ideal either, because all you can hear are the pitter-patter of feet when you're in the supermarket throughout the entire day, and you have lots of people wandering around. So you've got this big area with nothing really in it, and like I say, you've got all these little areas and shops that look like they've been taken from other games, other simulators, and just put here for the sake of it. As I say, everybody looks exactly the same with the same face model, just different hair and, you know, clothes and stuff. They are basically the exact same in every way, shape or form. They all walk the same as well, which is really weird. Now, once you get to your supermarket, you can open the door, and once you open the door, that's it. Shop is open for business, and the game will recommend that you get a chair and a TV to make the time less boring. Now, I'm sorry, but if you have to recommend that your people that are playing the game have a chair and, you know, allow you to do that because the game is too boring, that doesn't bode well. Now, this is where the pacing comes in, because the rate of customers you get for how many items you have is not ideal. It's very, very slow, and you have to manually input the amount of each thing as you go through. So you've got to sort of play a bit of a memory game. You then have to refill your stock when you've got enough to keep it so that people can keep buying their things. And then you can, once you earn enough, you can go to your laptop here and you can buy new shelves. You can get an air conditioner. You can change the shop shine, etc. This is a lot of space here for not a lot of shop upgrades. It's literally just new shelves until your shop is entirely full of everything. Also, although the game recommends you add the chair, I would 1000% recommend you don't, because all it does is get in the way. If you sit down, you are literally too far from anything to sort of interact with anything. You can't move up or down. You can literally just go side to side. So you have to get out of it, and then it blocks your route. There is no way of getting rid of it. You can't sell it once it's here. If you do type in the wrong price of something, nothing happens. He just walks away and doesn't take it, right? It tells you that the price is wrong, and he just walks away and goes about his merry day. With the shelf stacking, you can only shelf stack fully. So if you have $27 and you wanted to just put some more into the middle shelf, it will not let you do that, which is a bit of a problem. However, once you've got enough, you can then restock your shelves, and away you go. You don't get to choose what's on the items of the shelves. They are just random and upgrades, and really don't make much sense in terms of checkout and shopkeep. The fact that I can wander around here and have this entire big area for, well, seemingly ever, is a bit disconcerting and doesn't really fill me with much happiness. You do have a back door here, but I've not really been through, and it doesn't look like you can anyway. This game has the potential to be a lot of fun, especially if you could maybe have multiplayer on it, where you get multiple people coming in and they're buying more and more items. But unfortunately, the way it is right now, it is too slow, it is too boring, it is too repetitive, and there is just not enough variety to keep you interested. The fact that the chair is on wheels but does not move and therefore just serves as getting in your way is equally as annoying. It's a game that could have maybe been a little bit fun and a little bit chaotic, but just the pacing is wrong and doesn't really allow you to do that. Another really annoying thing is that they've got their Hanky's cream bar in the window, but you don't actually have them yet. You can't sell them, so you're immediately sort of misleading your customers from the get-go. All in, I'm not really very impressed with this game. I feel like it is lackluster to say the least. The settings and the splash screen are disappointing. And the fact that you don't actually have any control over the TV, and the fact that there needs to be a TV in the game to keep you occupied whilst you're playing, is more than a little bit upsetting. But there you have it. This is Checkout Simulator, and it is as boring as you would expect. Let me know what you think in those comments down below, and I will see you all in the next video. Ciao, ciao.